You just did it.
Oh, I did it. Didn't say so. So thank you. If you can help, please join us. It'll just be a little bit of fun. We have those Delmar Hilton yesterday Rotary muffins to nosh on while we do that. And today, I wanted to talk about the true act of giving for a minute. The true act of giving. And so the first Buddhist Zen sentence that I ever heard as it related to giving was this: be like a white crane in snow. Be like a white, as it relates to giving, be like a white crane in snow, which means don't make it about yourself. Don't make it look at me. And my father, a funny story, we'd go into church and I'd see all these women in mink coats. Really, I came from a very poor neighborhood, so this was somewhat impressive to me. Like, whee, what did they do? And they had special parking spots at the front of the church. And they sort of got to walk up right before the priest entered. And there was a lot of fanfare as it related to these very beautifully dressed, very amazing women. I'd say, what do we have to do to be one of those people? Because we were way in the back, by the way, in our pajamas. That's how we went to church. We tucked them up, put on our winter coats, showed up in the back of the church. What do we have to do to be one of those people? And my father simply said, forget it. Forget it. Forget it. Well, you know what's amazing? We are one of those people, but you don't need the coat. You don't need the parking spot, do you? You don't, in fact, in many interesting ways, this is the teaching that will detract from the basic goodness, the very basic goodness of both of you and whatever the giving. So Pema says in this book we've been working on rejoicing, and we all need to do that more, be in rejoicing, since the first noble truth is there is suffering in this human life. It can look like a sad story, right? Like, oh, I don't know, isn't there? But it's not the end of the story. It's only the beginning. The end of the story says, and too, there is the end of suffering. And there is a path to the end of suffering. And that's the whole story. And the number one instruction on that path to the end of suffering is Dāna, Paramita. Number one, Dāna, Paramita, which means giving beyond one's idea, beyond one's ideas about giving, beyond one's image of giving. And here's the big beyond this idea of me, the giver, and you, the one who needs it. Beyond that, beyond this idea of me as a giver and then you as a receiver. And that's really what the white crane in snow meant. I just couldn't get it at the time. I could get anonymous. I could get without fanfare. I couldn't get you just like me. No giver, no gift, no receiver. And then how do we hold that? No giver, no gift, no receiver. And then what does that mean? We're going to practice with that a little bit today. It came about perfectly in this week of giving thanks. So I'm going to read just a moment here from what Pema is saying in our book, The Places That Scare You. And giving scares us. It's true, it scares us. For all kinds of reasons, we can tell some of our scared stories, but it does scare us. The essence of this practice is that when we encounter pain in our life, we breathe into our heart with the recognition that others also feel this. This has been a practice of ours the last few weeks. When we see suffering, and I forget 100,000 times a day, when I see suffering or when I feel suffering, to recognize, pause, and actually breathe it in, expanding my own heart, metabolizing into my own basic goodness, It's also a way of acknowledging when we are closing down and training against that brainstem's habit to open up. And then here's the other part. When we encounter any pleasure, this is going to be this week, or tenderness in our life, we cherish that and rejoice. First, recognize, pause, right? Then we make the wish that others could also experience this delight, or this relief, or this warmth, or this community, or this warm hat, or this fuzzy jacket, or this smile that someone's, right? Whatever it is, can we recognize the pleasure? This is different than often is written into teachings, which is reject the pleasant, reject the pleasant. These teachings say, no, actually breathe it in with full rejoicing, with yeehaw, breathe it in, and then what? Send it to others. And then send it. This is the week we are going to be practicing making contact with all this goodness. Look at this. It's insane, really. Nobody's afraid of being bombed right now. Nobody's afraid of not having a coat for winter. Are you? No, you're not. You're not afraid of not eating today. You're not afraid of an illness that you can't get support and medical care for. Like, look at what we're sitting in all day long. We're going to be recognizing, pausing, breathing it in, and then we're sending it to others. This is our practice. So that in the end, every moment of unpleasant is a part of the path. And every moment of pleasant is a part of the path, isn't it? Both unpleasant and pleasant alike are a part of our training. I have a really hard time remembering the pleasant. I was practicing this week and going, oh, because it's everywhere. This was pretty tricky for me because when I started paying attention, it's everywhere. And like, well, then I'm just continual. Let's pause, breathe it in, send it. Well, okay, good. There's that beautiful smile. Pause, breathe it in, send it to someone who doesn't have a smile, right? So instead of just acknowledge that I was overwhelmed with blessings, I think my brain just went, nah, let's forget about it. And so this week, we're going to actually come up against our training wall. We're going to come up against it like, wow, there's so many things. How do I make contact with all of that? Okay, so let's get ready to sit. I'm going to zip up my jacket only because as I sit, I'm not cold now because I was moving stuff, but as my heart rate drops, I get a little chilly. So just make sure everyone's okay. We're going to actually close our eyes for part of this practice, but if you want to be practicing the non-meditation meditation, you can, of course, just rest the gaze in open space. And we're just going to begin by inviting a bit of stillness. And in that stillness, then just naturally noticing that the attention gently moves towards the sense of the body. Maybe the cool breeze on the leg, maybe the weight of the body in the seat, contact of the feet to the floor. And just resting in that noticing. And then I'd like you to find about 4 things. Let's just make a little list. 4 things that are just available to you every moment as a gift, as a blessing, as a goodness. maybe a couple of things. So the first thing that came to mind for me, and it always does, is the reality that I have been gifted this precious human life. I'm sitting right in the middle of a human incarnation, which is understood to be the highest incarnation possible. The goodness that is within and around you. Make a list. The bird song, the ability to hear, the brightness, the beauty of the morning. This felt sense of Sangha, community, and its caring. Maybe just the warmth of your own hands. And let these basic contacts with goodness, let it ignite your own heart. And then call to mind all those others just for a moment for whom you are practicing today. I'm going to be practicing for Courtney's uncle, Arthur, who is not well. And Fatma's granddaughter. And maybe someone who is lonely, someone who is fearful, someone who is ill. Calling them to mind. This is an essential aspect of Dāna, Paramita. We don't even keep the goodness of this practice. And we give it away even before we've cultivated it. We make commitments ahead of time. This is actually understood also to be essential. If you aren't thinking about how do I make these offerings, the probability of making them goes way down. So even before we bake the bread, we're thinking of all the people who we know who are hungry, who could benefit. And for this practice, I'll ring the bell. And for a few moments, we're just going to rest our attention in that open space, letting that bodhicitta, that good heart, just radiate out in all directions. And we're going to be practicing just in this quiet moment anything that we make contact with that is joyful, that makes you happy, that is pleasant. While we're just focusing on the medium of the breath, we'll just practice taking that bird song, breathing it in, and then actually thinking of someone to send it to. Or maybe a group. And there are formal phrases that we can offer to support ourselves. And the first is, may I rejoice in this goodness, in this good fortune, in this blessing. May I rejoice, opening our own hearts. And the real work at the beginning is to truly enjoy it. We can get into habits of actually, rather than soaking in the goodness ourselves and nurturing ourselves, we can actually get very excited about sending it and actually send it without receiving, without accepting, without taking in the sukha ourselves. Just notice that habit with the breath. And you can lose contact with the breath as a result because you're so excited to give it out, you didn't even breathe it in. And then feel its effects. And so maybe begin by breathing it in a few times, soaking in the goodness, feeling the gladness, the ease, the happiness. And if you notice that this is a little bit challenging for you, stay with it for a little bit. Just keep making contact, sounds, sensations, maybe images or thoughts, whatever helps you recollect, remember, and embody all of the blessings, all of the goodness that you have received. It's useful to stay in the present moment if you can, but for some people, that's just a little bit ahead of schedule. So you can recollect then. In fact, let's do it. Let's think for a moment about one of the greatest gift you've received. the greatest offering, the greatest blessing. And recollect that, and then call that um, experience to mind. And it won't take long to feel the effects of that giving, that gift. And soak that in. Of the greatest gifts or blessings. And here's a promise, it will be attached to a person. It will not be a thing. And if it is a thing, it's just a thing because of the goodness of the person who gave it to you and what that it represents. And then I'd like you to look into the eye of the person who has gifted that to you. In my case, it's my grandparents and my parents. And feel their gladness. Feel their love for you. And breathe it in. And remember, we're breathing it into the whole body being. For some, the portal is the heart. For others, it's more like a screen door. You're just taking all that goodness and it's rejoicing and it's gladness and it's happiness. Feel the effects in the whole of the body. Watch for the storylines that can climb in and obstruct this rejoicing. Feelings of unworthiness, feelings of the sacrifice of another, and the undeservedness of that, and be watchful. Remember the Buddha's words, you are more deserving of this care, this attention than anyone, because it was offered to you. You might feel a sense of expanding, a sense of energy, a sense of quickening, maybe a lightness. Feelings of joy. So breathe it in for several more breaths. Let's fill up the tank with this felt sense of rejoicing in the receiving. And then I'd like you to reflect for a moment, did what you were given matter? Was it the what? If it was a gift of some kind, was it the gift itself? And if it wasn't the gift, what was it? Feeling into the body, seeing how you know this gladness. It's often different than we have imagined. There may be a quality or felt sense of ease or openness, maybe a connectedness, a belonging. And then letting go of any image or memory and just residing in the body for several moments, just seeing what the quality of the body mind is in this joy, in this ease, in this gladness. Breathe it in. One of the things I want you to feel is the felt sense that this joy, this gladness, this delight does not diminish. You can recollect it. You can find it within your own mind, heart, and body, just as you did on the moment it was received, it does not diminish and maybe even grows. Greater appreciation, greater gratitude. And then we're going to take all that energy and we're going to direct it. We're now going to make an offering. Maybe someone for whom you might offer this same gift, this same goodness. And then we can begin to breathe out that blessing. And if a bunch of people come to mind, that's no problem. But please offer a few breaths one at a time. And so, of course, my children came to mind immediately. Those I love came to mind. Just take several breaths, offering to each one. May you rejoice, be glad, and take delight. In these blessings, in this offering. May you recognize the heart of bodhicitta, giving and receiving. Maybe a phrase, maybe a word, maybe an image that accompanies the out breath. And then feeling the effects of this offering. One of the things I often notice is that it is continuous. I don't feel fatigued by the offer. I don't feel like I'm running out. It doesn't feel like I'm getting near the end of this. It's too much. It actually is energizing, life affirming, and also invites rejoicing. If you run out of people you know, you can begin to make the offering to people you don't know, to others, the neighbors, the people in the town, the country, the people who have dogs and can't care for them, whatever the group or circumstance. And then I'd like you to call to mind just some of those for whom you have made offers of blessings, of merits, of warm blankets, whatever that might be. And as you've been calling that to mind and rejoicing, I'd like you to set an intention today to make that real, to take some of those offers, some of those gifts, some of those people, and make that real. How are you going to do that? What's that going to take? How are you going to share this heart of bodhicitta this week? With the only return being the joy, the connectedness, the love that you will feel. There's going to be no acknowledging. Nobody's going to have to say thank you. The joy is sufficient. May we all rejoice, be glad, and take delight at the infinite blessings offered to us and our genuine wish that others have those blessings as well. No gift, no giver, no receiver. We rest in the joy, in the gratitude. And for the last few moments, just recollecting that felt sense once again. What's the body have to tell you about this exchange? It is only joyful. Thank you, Jim. Jim has put up our encinitasmindfulness.org giving in case you haven't made a contribution recently. Dāna is the best way to warm your heart on this cold morning, he wrote. We'll talk more about that in a moment, but let's stay with our practice now. I did cool down just like I knew I would with that warm heart. So who came to mind? Who and what came to mind? Children. Children as the gift, children to give the gift to, all of that. Did you come to mind as you were being gifted? I asked that you recollect being gifted. Were you a child when you were gifted, whatever that was?
I was thinking of my youngest daughter as a gift because I didn't expect her. And it's been one of the greatest gifts I've had in my life. And I was thinking about how I felt when I first held her.
Yes. Other gifts received
For me, it was mostly not, not things. It was glimpses, like when my dad was dying. I was there when he had his last hurrah. He recognized me when I walked into the room in the hospital, and I will always remember him, smiling.
That look.
And he started to cry because he realized that
That's right.
he hadn't been. And each one of the births of my children, I remember the feeling, the joy, and the pain, but the pain goes away. It's warm fuzzies.
The preciousness of life, right? The preciousness of life, the gift, and the honoring of that in whatever infinite ways, right? It comes or it doesn't come. Other experiences with what was the gift received? What was the gift given? And to who?
Yeah, the real gift, I think, for me at this point in my life is you. I think from the time that I met you, it came under different circumstances. Those circumstances have seemed to change quite a bit. But in my life, I find that one of my daughters is kind of my North Star. I mean, kind of just the center of the family and love and kindness, and she just amazes me every day. She's kind of my North Star. My dad turned 90, so she and I and my dad went and got tattoos. And the tattoo that I got was a nav star. And there was some meaning into it, but it's actually, I assign more meaning to it now. And just like this group, right? I think it doesn't just point to the North Star, it points to everybody.
That's right.
This group. And I think of it not so much as a nav star, but a love star, a compass, right? But sitting here today, I've come to the realization that in my life, you are that compass. And so I thank you for that. And everybody here.
Mhm. Yes, that's true. We are all that for each other when we're not caught, right, in our own distress, in our own distraction. And you know the difference, just like I do, right? It's very clear to me. Even when I think I'm doing a good thing or a right thing, right, it doesn't have the same quality, does it, as this bodhicitta. That's the star, the bodhicitta, the open heart that just says, I will be here for you as I know you'll be here for me. And the infinite ways that we keep expressing that, right, finding that. And this week, I want you to press up against your limit on that. I really want you to do it. The family member you don't talk to, how do you include and offer? The one who turned you down, who went the wrong way, who took your checkbook, right? And of course, my half brother Sean comes to mind for me. I don't want him to be cold either. Actually, do I? I don't. I want him to be cold. I don't want him to be hungry either. And how do I offer that? Well, I don't know if I'll be able to find him to give him that exactly. I can send the wish, and then I can find every other cold person I can make contact with. That's another way, isn't it? So don't go, I don't know. I don't know where they are anymore. Okay, there's plenty of theys, isn't there? And they're not they at all, are they? Find them, right? Libby handed me, she sort of threw it at me. She's been making backpacks. She heard we were making bags, and she's like, that's not, but I really want the people who are out there, the homeless, I want them to have something. So she went and bought used backpacks, and she filled them with hats and gloves and things. And then she flung one at me and said, find somebody. Yeah. Okay. Find somebody. Now she did that because she knows I complained the most when my father gave us a bunch of 20s and said, go down into that canyon and put a 20 in everybody's backpack. And I was like, no, we're going to die down there. somebody's going to think we're taking the backpack. They're going to kill us. And he's like, get down there anyway. And we did.
Mm.
Obviously, I didn't die. And in fact, a big other thing happened, right? A big other thing right up against my edge of where I think I can open. And that's what your work is this week. It's all of our practice all of the time. It's not because you don't already have the heart. By the way, we don't have to get the heart you don't have. We have to open the heart you already own. From those belief thoughts, from those habits, from this, well, I do it that way. I don't do it this way. That's what both my father and Libby helped me make contact. Really? All right, then I got to get out of the car, probably, and like make real contact, probably. All good news. And so how are you going to do this? What came to mind for you? How are you going to take that already existing bodhicitta? It's already here. We don't have to make something up. It's already, how did it come to mind for you? For how to continue, two ways. One, in real actions. I said, how do you make that real? Right? How are you going to make that real? And then two, how do we keep remembering to send it on the out breath when we make contact with that delicious turkey, when we make contact with that fun hike or that great Christmas gnome project that we're going to do at my house for fun. I'm laughing already because my sons will think that's just horrid. I'm already having a good time.
I have four, excuse me, granddaughters, and they're all in pretty much in different locations. A bunch of them up north and two down here, well, two up there and two down here, and so they really came to mind for me. And so I want to, text them.
Yes.
Actually, as a group, because they all love each other, but they don't communicate that much. And,
Yes.
just to give thanks to them and just to let them know how much I love them.
Yes.
And make that connection.
Yeah, that's right. Very important. What else did people come up with? You came up with something.
This has been in the making, not just today, but my relationship with my parents has been shaky and difficult and brings back a lot of trauma for whatever reason that I don't remember. But I am going to spend Thanksgiving. I'm flying on Thanksgiving Day, but I'm going to Florida to be with them because I know that's what they need, as opposed to what I can handle.
Yeah, that's right. And then you just be there.
Yeah.
Right? The gift is already there. Whatever else happens, there's always a walk around the block.
There's deep breath too.
Yeah, lots of them. Right? Lots of them.
Enjoy the flight.
Well, it's on Thanksgiving, so no one will be on the plane.
All those people who thought no one
Yeah.
will be on the plane will be on that plane, actually. By the way, because that's the cheapest flight anybody's going to get, called We'll Run In at 2 and make that happen. Wonderful. What else? What else came to mind?
When it started off very warm and fuzzy, and I was able to bring it in and feel it, but as soon as I started embodying that self, which I rarely do, contraction happened.
Yes.
And just the clinging nature of, okay, this is not the love but the attachment, it just was
Yes.
a lot of back and forth
Yes.
and a lot of resistance.
Yes.
And again, just what it is.
That's right.
So it
We
wasn't all
I
good.
named that because I could feel that actually, which is often we have, and I'll just use myself. So my grandparents, right, who were very loving, unconditional source for me. My mother was 17. And so we were both being parented really in some way by these amazing loving people. And they came to mind. And what came to mind fairly quickly after the joy of that was, but they're not here now. That's ego. Because only ego takes bodhicitta, the loving heart, and goes only like this, doesn't it? Only like this. It's never true. That's ego going, but attachment. I want it like that. I want her cutting my toast and serve it, right? This is, and that is a contractedness. It's beautiful to know that though, Poonam, to recognize how we actually, how that egoic mind climbs in to go, but I don't have it like that now. So, and that's this part of the storyline that walks in, that gets right in the way of that heart and then goes home. And then what did you feel? Well, nothing, or grief, or right, loss, or disappointment, or why not? Yeah, Chris is laughing at me because he knows, right? How come it doesn't look like that today? Well, because love, like everything, doesn't look like anything on any day. What does it look like today is our continued question, though.
It's like the troubled heart is a nice reminder that at least you have one.
That's right, isn't it? And it is trembling, but can we offer that then to ourselves? See, this is the opportunity then to breathe it in for myself. Can I remember all the love, all the goodness, right? That is actually allowing me this life, and then the life of my children, or the life of those I serve, or the, right? And watch for the ego that climbs in, the way the ego climbed in for me when I was looking down that canyon going, I don't know, like, do you have to go all the way down there to really? Right? And the answer was actually yes. Actually, yes, I did. Did I have to risk my life? No, of course not. That's not ever useful or required. And by the way, my father, who has been a bouncer a lot of his life, knows safe situations and not safe situations. He actually knows them by smell. He can go, yeah, you can go. You're going to be just fine. And I trust that you know too. You know too. And what will that expanding look like? Because that's climbing out from the storyline to go, okay, it isn't looking like I would have preferred, like I expected. It's true. The good heart doesn't necessarily look like that at all, does it? The good heart of the person that kind of kicked you right in the ass is sometimes exactly the gift, isn't it? The one who said go anyway. Isn't it true? Yeah. And so I want you to think about that. I want you to hold on to that. And so there are two forms of Dāna Paramita. There's one form which is continuously available. All the goodness available this moment. Pick something. Feel its joy, its pleasure, its goodness, its safety, its connection, its belonging, right? This beautiful, precious only moment. And then send that out. That's the practice on the breath. On the spot, you can do that all day long, can't you? Just this beautiful view. Breathe it in, send it out. Who can I send it to? My brother, who's staring down a 20-degree blizzardy day. Right? I can send it to him. I can make that offering. And then we're going to do more. We're going to make it real. It's not just now on the breath. It's how am I going to do that? I'm going to text somebody. I'm going to send him a card. I'm going to take a flight. I'm going to bring over the pecan pie. I'm going to, whatever that is for you. And really more important than anything, feel the effects of that. Feel the effects of that. Because then you can't not do it. Actually, you couldn't not do it. Even if it didn't go just the way you hoped, wanted, planned, or would have preferred. Those are always storylines, aren't they? Doesn't a storyline begin with the way it was supposed to go was this? Yeah, Every single storyline, the way it was supposed to go, the way I wanted it to be, the way I had a vision or dream or desire or happiness. And we just have to know that we don't get to write that story. We're not the writers of that. We're just spend most of our time dissolving into what's really here, what's really can be alive, what's really available. How do I really live it right now, even when that person, this situation isn't like this? And then watch the contraction open. And it will. And it is well beyond the storyline for us all, by the way. And we all carry that storyline too. I'm going to read some of this because there are a lot of people writing. Dennis says, I look at all my tennis students and their parents as gifts. Sure. And then Dennis, as you as a gift to them. Because remember, all directions. This is not one directional ever. So beautiful. I was surprised to experience rejoicing and joy as a feeling I'm not as familiar with as pain and suffering, at least as of lately. That's right. We often, the brainstem, right to that contraction, much easier than to the opening. But I really felt it, and it was overwhelming in a good way. Yes, it is. I've been so blessed by so many people. It was hard to choose just one. Yes. But one particular one finally arrived. Wonderful. And I was so happy to share it and give that feeling to others. And so many groups came to mind to share this with homeless people in Ukraine, those who feel unloved, overwhelming the amount of bodhicitta available to share, and overwhelming all those who can benefit. I have to go now. This is Shivan. Thank you so much. Dennis, very difficult for me not to be with you in the garden. Well, there's the egoic mind showing up, going, but how come it can't be like that? And look what comes with it. Right? And the desire, the wholesome desire is fine, right? I wish I could be there is fine, but be watchful that that doesn't invite the contraction. Thank you. So what else before we end and get ready to do our little service project today? Remember, if you're there and can come on over before 9, we will be filling bags for seniors. What else can you think to do? It's always a quality of being, right? First.
I think the more open we become, the more we begin to see more people that we want to give this to.
That's right.
And, it just kind of continues to open up more and more.
Yes, it does. Don't
And
you
instead
know?
of seeing that homeless person where maybe 5 years ago I would have seen them as maybe somebody that I don't like, that
Right.
homeless person. Now it's kind of like, oh, wow, I wish I could help them somehow.
That's right. That's right. All the barriers begin to dissolve.
Right.
And it is true, really. That is the heart of bodhicitta. And then eventually there isn't anyone excluded from it. Really, you can't think of somebody. Doesn't mean you're supposed to walk up and give them a hug necessarily either, because wisdom may dictate not that, but that also doesn't mean nothing, does it? It might mean not that.
Might
Right.
even be a smile if you can't get to
That's
your
right.
money and dime or
That's
whatever.
right.
You
That's
just
right.
acknowledge them. A lot of
That's right.
times, just acknowledge them.
That's right. That same guy was at the Wendy's sitting on the curb as I was turning left once again. He's my teacher. And once again, I don't have anything and I'm going like this. And he goes like this.
Well, isn't acknowledgement love?
Yes. Oh, I absolutely felt it. And what he knows is I see you. And he also knows I'm not going to keep doing it like this. Right? Like, ugh! I'm not going to keep doing it like this. In fact, he may be the guy who gets that backpack.
I was gonna say.
Wouldn't it seem?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it seem?
And you can't throw it at him. You gotta-
I cannot throw it at him like it got thrown at me. I'm not going to be throwing it at him. That's right. So this is a real opportunity. Dāna Paramita says beyond the concept, beyond this sense of self and other, beyond our bright ideas. And so even beyond what you can think of, see what comes. Then see what comes and how you might make that offering. And rejoice. And rejoice.
So is, I have a question. I find that the more I open my heart, the more I feel a tremendous amount of forgiveness for others who I felt somewhat difficult situations with. Would that be the same type of thing?
Yes. So they say that the transformation of traumas or difficulties is ultimately to offer forgiveness for yourself. Let me say that differently. That you're going to forgive because you don't want that contractedness. You don't want that closed heart. You don't want that for your life. That it really isn't a gift to the other at all. That it actually is a gift to the self. Because the heart of bodhicitta cannot work through that you who have been the perpetrator. Which means what? That we do not actually see the truth, which is every perpetrator is a victim.
Mhm.
We know this, actually. We know it. It's 100%. And you may have also been victimized
Right.
by that in whatever verbal, non-verbal, physical, non-physical ways. And so how do I open myself to that truth? That we are all victims. And have been, right? Because my parents' inabilities had impact on me in whatever ways that it was and was not there.
Yeah. No,
Right.
I think that that is actually what's happening. I'm actually talking about my parents right now, talking
Yeah.
about something else.
Yes.
I think that's what's actually happening.
Yes. And
I
that you
don't
want to
wanna
stay in.
forgive out of not accepting the fact that the acts actually happened and they weren't okay.
That's right.
That's the harder
Forgiveness
part.
does not require a denial. It does not require even that was okay. It does require deeper wisdom that in fact that happened because of the pain caused to you and the pain caused to you and the pain caused to you. And that yes, pain expands and transfers also. But it doesn't mean, and so I should just go, oh, well, at all. In fact, I'm going to make sure that stops, but how to do so without aggression, how to do so without hostility, how to do so in openness. And we begin exactly where we are then, don't we? So what I can do now is just go, I recognize that pain was caused to you. That's a big step. But by itself, it's huge, isn't it? Just to go, I know you are also a victim and I can feel that for you just as I can feel that for me, because it's the same, actually. It's exactly the same when we finally look that what exactly happened to that person, right? And that's the repetition, that pain continues and expands and repeats until.
And Diana, being the novice that I am, you're talking, I'm thinking about the book I'm sure you're familiar with, and it's called The Apology.
Mhm.
Right? It describes what happened, some kind of horrible things to the woman, but
Yes.
I think it applies to everybody, and I shared that book with others.
Yes. That's a very lovely
I've
book.
heard of it.
The Apology.
I don't remember the author.
It's the gal who wrote
Um,
Vagina Monologues.
Oh,
And it's a story of her life. It's a letter that she wrote from her father, but she actually wrote the letter, and it was the apology she never got from her father.
Yeah, it was very
And then
powerful.
the healing in the end. I got a little teary thinking about it. I mean, it was pretty moving
Yes.
for me. In both being a victim at times and a perpetrator, it kind of opened my eyes to the fact that was I ever like that, you know? But it was it's a short read, but it was really interesting.
And aren't we all like that? Yes, we are. And again, not with judgment, not with condemnation, but with understanding. Out of my pain, I have caused pain. It's true. It's guaranteed. And there's no, right? Without judgment, just knowing the truth that that's the way pain transfers. That's the way healing transfers. And you get to begin with yourself. That healing to say, what do I need to heal? I need to not focus on forgiving the other. I need to really focus on what's good for me is not staying closed-hearted. And how do I begin that? Well, it doesn't mean we go right to a perpetrator. I don't think so. I think it's like just the person right next to me,
Yeah,
right?
and
How do I
find
not
that to be
close the door there?
confusing part
Yeah.
right there.
Yep.
Because I want to just forgive everybody.
Yes.
And that's not necessarily healthy. is it?
I don't think it is. I don't even think it's possible.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't know that anyway, is what I'll tell you, Brenda. I only know, can I forgive the small version of that that's playing out every day? You know, the hostility here, the right, whatever's just this, and work with that in its small way. I like to jump into the shallow end as a way of learning to swim, right? Just this. And just recognizing the pain of others is a big step, isn't it?
Yeah, I would like to learn to better jump into the shower.
Yeah, I think that's
I think that's a
useful.
really beautiful way.
I think it's beautiful. And like with even a little set of stairs, you know, like just one, I'm a cold water averse personality. I just love 84-degree water, and like 64 is like, and everything rattles in me, right? Well, just one step then. I don't have to fall into it and just, well, let me get in, and then let me get in. And eventually I decide when to just let it, right, go and be all in. And that'll come when there's something, a confidence and a faith and a trust in me. Actually, it doesn't have anything to do with the water, right, or the others. It's just in my time. And I think we get to regard that, by the way. I don't think we need to rip open wounds.
Actually, I think that's what much.
I don't think
I
so.
read this, right? I sent this to you the other day. Forgive yourself for the survival patterns and the traits you picked up while enduring trauma.
Yeah. You know, all the closeness that was necessary for a time that then becomes a habit. And we don't want that, right? You don't want that for you, which is the beauty of it. And then everyone will benefit. But again, in its time, in its way, and what can I give today? Well, that might begin with you. I can give myself time and space for that. Just that. I can give myself permission to just recognize that what's here, the anger that's here, the protective coating that's here, the numbness that's here. I call that the fairy godmother. Necessary for a time. Necessary. Okay. And that would be a deep giving also, wouldn't it? That would be a deep giving to say, can I offer this to myself? Yes. All right, let me check. I think we're good this way. Very difficult. Oh, yeah. The flu is going around. Now I've got made maybe 4 or 5 contacts with people who have gotten the flu, who are fairly sick with the flu. If you haven't done a flu shot, and you're being directed to do so, I would consider that before you're, I think it takes like 2 weeks, Carrie, doesn't it? To fully kick in. So you might have missed a window for Thanksgiving, but it's, I think, better than not having it, maybe. I don't know. I would say your doctor and you know best, but I do know it's out there. Because now I've gotten several people letting me know that they're struggling. So let's sit for a moment together. And so we're sitting in the rejoicing, and we mistake that joy for a lot, for a wee kind of rejoicing. I don't actually think that's its nature. I think the rejoicing is a warming. Did anybody feel that? A kind of warmth in the heart space, or right, a softening in the belly, shoulders dropping, open heart. I think that's actually the better definition of this rejoicing. And we often come in with this cymbal clanging, big, or I don't think so. I think it's quieter and maybe even more open than that. So let's see if we can't drop into that warmth. And as we breathe in, see if we just can't invite that inner spaciousness. And that means we're dissolving contraction. And that also means then that we're cultivating a mind that's vast and open and spacious like the sky. And then the breath becomes that wave of awakening. And the out breath becomes an easing, a relaxing, a settling into the vast open heart of bodhicitta. Spacious, warm, maybe even like an embrace. And then the other quality that we're naming is that it's multi-directional. It's not a giving this way, receiving this way. We talked about that Dāna Paramita, multi-directional, no one form, no one way, no one benefactor, no one recipient, no one gift. Bigger. And we cultivate that quality by that open, spacious quality of mind, which then invites the heart of bodhicitta. Riding on the medium of the breath. Whether we're breathing in pleasant or unpleasant, we transmute it by awareness itself, by the bodhi heart itself making contact, and we send out blessings, goodness, ease, warmth in all their forms. May I rejoice that the blessing of this human life and all of its infinite opportunities for love, compassion, wisdom, and equanimity. And may I rejoice in the knowing and may I wish those very blessings, that very awareness, that warm, open, spacious heart. May I offer this as often as I can with each out breath. Until all beings are happy. Until all beings are safe and free from suffering. Until we all are awakened and free. May our hearts be filled with appreciation, with gratitude, with loving kindness and rejoicing in this time of giving thanks. May we see each opportunity presented to us as a blessing, one in which the Bodhi heart can grow and flourish. May we all be happy, grateful, and have ease. Happy Thanksgiving. Blessings to all of you. Thank you. Blessings to all of you there. Hope you have something wonderful planned. I know there's lots of recipes being looked up and things being bought to make for beautiful celebration and delight. Please enjoy. We will be here next Saturday. Yep, we'll be right here. You're so welcome, everyone. Have a wonderful, blessed Thanksgiving. I'd like you to keep in mind what you made real from this Bodhi heart, because we'll be talking about that next Saturday. What opportunities came? What is your intention? How did that go? Okay, I'll look forward to seeing you then. Be well, everyone.